All right, so there was a lot going down because over the weekend, what had happened is the Mueller report. There was Attorney General William Barr, who is Trump's Attorney General, who I believe was like a 4-page summary of the Mueller report was submitted and put out. I believe it was submitted to Congress, and then I guess we get to see it now. So we haven't seen the full Mueller report yet, but according to the summary, there are no further indictments, none that are sealed either. But also they said that Mueller had basically investigated the obstruction of justice crime, but basically said, "Oh, we don't have enough evidence to, prosecute this, so we're going to leave it up to the DOJ," which the DOJ is not going to take it. They didn't take it, so that's going nowhere. But they did say that they're not exonerating him from the obstruction of justice thing. But what this means is that basically the Russian collusion theory is pretty much dead in the water at this point. And it has caused the left to go really, everyone's having their reactions because remember that there's the huge left who says that, Trump is, Putin's best buddy or whatever. And then there was the other left who was just, vociferously against it. So on the online left, there's, of course, been quite the divide. Before I get into that, I do want to give a big thank you to some of my new patrons. I want to give a thank you to Christian Richard, Chris Kaprowski, and Darren Oshia. If you would like to gain all the benefits and become a patron, you can do that at patreon.com/theprogressivevoice to support the show. But anyways, let's get back to the story here. So this went crazy. There was obviously Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kulinski, and other people who were sort of adamantly against the Russiagate thing. Jimmy was more in the adamantly against Russiagate thing than Kyle was. Kyle kind of teetered more than Jimmy did. Jimmy didn't really teeter at all. He was, consistent in it because he was really a big believer in that. It was very important to him. Now, there were two people on the online left who had a weird fixation, and I'm going to be real here, a weird fixation on the Russia issue, and that's David Pakman and Cenk Uygur. And Cenk Uygur sent out a tweet like, "I am conceding nothing," and he got there's so many replies to that because dude, what are you doing, man? Just give it up, man. What are you doing? Just give it up, man. You lost. You're wrong. Stop. Just stop it. I mean, okay, so we haven't seen the Mueller report, but what, you think that Robert Mueller is just going to allow this kind of misinformation by the AG to go through? Seriously? You're really going to make that bet? And I think we should see the Mueller report. I want to see the Mueller report. But that may backfire on you guys, actually, dude, so I would be careful. But anyways, so David Pakman, of course, is somebody who was super on this Russia thing, nonstop, big-time believer in this. And so David Pakman and Kyle Kulinski briefly got into it on Twitter. So David Pakman had sent out a tweet on Twitter saying, "It's quite strange to see fellow quote-unquote leftists who normally recognize our justice system as hugely biased along privilege, racial, and class lines accept that a 72-year-old billionaire president did nothing wrong because his hand-picked attorney general, quote, sort of said so." So listen, man, this tweet is really, really kind of ridiculous because, so what he's trying to do here is he's trying to discredit his opponents, which is pretty disingenuous in my opinion. And Kyle kind of points this out. It's by doing this whole, fellow quote unquote leftists, you're making an attack on those people to try to delegitimize them and be like, "Oh, you're not really lefties because you disagree with me on this issue, and I'm going to give you this rationale here." It's not a good look, dude. That's a pretty cowardly thing to do. It's just wrong, and it's too low, David. David, that's way too low for you. You are going way beneath your standards, and it's really sad to see. But he's also not really representing the situation correctly. Now, it is true that, William Barr, who's the Attorney General of Donald Trump, who obviously was picked by Donald Trump, did say that. But the thing is he's not sort of, quote-unquote, sort of saying so. I mean, he's giving you a summary of the Mueller report in which he says, and the most important thing is that there's no more indictments. Zero. No more sealed ones, and no more to come out. So if that is the case, remember when Mueller's team came out against those reports, I think it ended up being that the Southern District of New York was investigating that specific part of, I forget which exact one it was. So they would come out if that's wrong. And, is he really going to lie about that? It's pretty hard. So what you're starting to do is you're starting to kind of shift the goalpost. Yeah, he said so, but it's based on a Mueller report. He's telling us what the Mueller report is saying. Now, I still, again, as I'm saying, I still want to see the Mueller report because I think that's important. But are you that a big religious believer in the Russiagate story? Did you refuse to this point to believe this, and you're still hanging on by a thread, man? You're hanging on by that thread, just hoping and praying and to delay your survival on this specific issue. Like, dude, really? Come on, dog. And then, so Kyle Kulinski jumped in on this one. Here's what he said. He said, I don't know why leftist is in quotation marks. These are lefties that disagree with you on this, and that doesn't make us any less left. Also, none of us said Trump, quote, did nothing wrong, but questioned the overreach of direct collusion. If you think this doesn't vindicate us, wow. So Kyle is pointing out, as I said earlier, basically, he's trying to disingenuously, disqualify, his opponents by basically being like, lefties, supposed lefties, but they're not really, he's trying to make it seem like they're not actual lefties. So like, dude, that's such a cowardly move, man. Address the issue. Don't try and preemptively delegitimize your opponents because you ended up wrong on this issue. That's very cowardly and very low, to be honest with you. And then he points out, basically saying that, we didn't say that Trump did nothing wrong. And he's basically saying that, he's shocked at David's tweet. He's saying, wow, if you really don't think that this vindicated us, I'm truly shocked. And his shock is probably mutually held by a lot of you guys who are listening right now. And then David responded again saying, I wasn't referring to you. I don't know what you have been saying about it. I put leftists in quotations because it's the same people tweeting to me who often defend authoritarians and act in ways that aren't very progressive. So I have a hard time defining them as left. So first of all, this is a cop-out that David does a lot, actually. And to be fair, I think Kyle will do this from time to time, too. Like, I think he's done that on Jimmy Dore a couple times on his secular talking smacks to kind of like dodge answering a question that he's not really comfortable with at the time. But here's what they do. Here's what commentators do. They go, oh, well, I don't know what they said. I haven't seen what they said. And it's a cop-out to not respond to the other person. So you go, oh, I wasn't referring to you. I haven't even heard what you said about it. Really, dog? You're telling me you haven't seen Kyle's opinions on Russiagate? Really? You're really going to try to pass that off? No, don't try to do that. That's total bogus. Okay, you know what Kyle's position on Russiagate is. Maybe you haven't seen any new comments. Maybe. But do you honestly believe that David doesn't know Kyle Kulinski's opinion on Russiagate? Get out of here, bro. There's no way. You're super naive to believe that. And then and what he's referencing there, remember he weirdly started calling lefties on the Venezuela issue. He started calling them the Leninist left, which I still don't really know what exactly he means by that. But he does this weird thing where he tries to delegitimize these people as kind of not being left wing, and that's what he's referencing when he is saying in there. That's what he kind of does for some reason. I don't know why he has a button that just keeps doing that. Oh, lefties are not, agreeing with me, so I'm going to kind of push this button of oh, lefties. It's what are you doing, David? I don't know what you're doing, dog. But I'm surprised that Kyle didn't respond again. I don't know why he didn't respond again, because this is clearly this is the perfect situation to see their fleshed out opinions, and he kind of didn't respond. I don't know why he didn't respond. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. It would have been good to see at least somewhat conversation, and that seemed like a tweet to actually respond to. So it would have been cool to have them flesh it out, discuss so we could see their different opinions. I know that everyone has been talking about, it'd be really cool to have David and Kyle have a conversation. I see those in the comment section of usually both their videos. I think sometimes in David's videos, I'll see in the comment section people oh, Kyle doesn't agree with you. I wish I could see a convo with you guys. This would have been our chance to see their discussion on it, but Kyle didn't want to respond for some reason. Anyways, so listen, man. My conclusion on this whole back and forth, as well as the conclusion, I don't know what David's fixation with Russia was and is. I don't know what Cenk's fixation on Russia is. And he's, by the way, he's also trying to do this where he's I have conceded nothing. And it's really, dog? Wow, what are you doing, man? So I was never, this issue has never been interesting to me, ever. At any point in time have I been compelled by this story. In fact, in the beginning, I was this is total bogus. It's an excuse as to why Hillary lost. I got so bored and tired of this, to me, which was just a whatever issue, that I became an agnostic on the issue. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just waiting for the Mueller report to come out. Whatever the Mueller findings have is what I'm going to believe, because that'll be the evidence. And the Mueller report has came out, and I still want to see the report, but there's no way that there are more indictments or sealed indictments to come out. No way that's true. No way that's the case. Come on, guys, seriously. So we know what the Mueller report says. You got to hang it up now. Like, it's over. Like, David, you've taken the L. Jank, you've taken the L. Anyone who really, fuck with this kind of situation, you took the L, and you were wrong. So I just am really curious, what in David's mind was super, what was the spark to be like, yeah, I'm really into this Russia issue, man. This is a really, really big scandal. I just don't know. I'm seriously dumbfounded by this. I don't know why he had this fixation on this Russia issue. There's literally, basically everything is more interesting to me than this Russia issue. So when, Ro Khanna called it the garden variety of financial crimes that have been committed by Donald Trump. Kyle just did a video a couple days ago where he reported on Trump inflating his assets by 70% or something, which is bank fraud. You can't just lie about your assets to get loans. That's bank fraud. That's a crime. And then you're talking about the Michael Cohen payment that he did with the NDA with Stormy Daniels. And when you're talking about all these different things that he's done, dude, he's in big trouble. The emoluments clause, guys. The Saudis come in and they stay at his hotels, funneling money to Trump by going to his hotels and staying there. He's in direct violation of the emoluments clause. And I don't know if I don't think any presidents have had that levied against them. But this is certainly, if that's true, the first time serious violation with the emoluments clause. But instead of focusing specifically on those things, and to be fair, I'm sure David will do coverage of that, from time to time. But, bro, that should be the forefront of what we're talking about here. Now, you are going to be made fun of. You're going to be laughed at because you turned out to be totally wrong. And that sucks, man. That sucks. I really, I hate to see it. It's just, what are you going to do at this point? So, my message is, take the L. You have to move on. I would like to, I just don't know what made this story, this Russia thing, so compelling to people like David and Jenk in the first place. It was never interesting to me, even in the slightest. People like Jon Stewart didn't care about it. Dave Chappelle didn't. It's just not oh my God. Anyways, so to conclude, David, you're wrong. Sorry. So was Jenk. And, people like Kyle and Jimmy ended up being right at the end. We have the Mueller report, and at this point, if you're still denying the results, dude, you are a weirdo. I don't know what to tell you. The Mueller report is telling us this. I don't know what on God's green earth would convince you at this point. But anyways, I still want to see the Mueller report, but I don't think that's going to change anything because I don't think it really can change anything. So I wish the convo would have gone on for longer. It would have been more, fruitful to read and find things out. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on this down below.